Thank you very much for being on my TV show today, Public Interest Issue. Today we have Anita, and she's going to talk about her book.
Hi, I'm A M Cal, and I'm the author of Eighth Wonder, the Thomas Bethune story. I've been writing now for about 20 years. I'm a former Los Angeles Times reporter, and I've also written for Tyler Perry's House of Pain. I've written for Showtime, and I've had an opportunity to write for several other cable shows and channels. And this is my first book. It is a historical fiction novel, and it's based on a true story. It's about a slave born blind and feeble who was left for dead, who started playing Mozart at the age of 3. And when I first discovered him, I was in graduate school looking for thesis prodigies, and I saw him in between Mozart and Beethoven, and I was just captivated. And it took me about 15 years to research and finally get up the courage to write this book. And it's something that I think a lot of people will be extremely excited to read about because he was phenomenal. He was known as the Black Mozart. He played for President Buchanan, who invited him to the White House. He also played before Queen Victoria and Emperor Napoleon III. In fact, he became so fashionable that the crown heads of Europe would fight with one another to see who could get him to perform in their courts.
Wow. And tell me a little bit about the research that you did for it.
The research that I did when I first started in it was like 1998, there wasn't a lot of information available via the internet, and so my sister is a librarian, and so I asked her to pull some information on Thomas, and I'm thinking she probably won't be able to find a lot. He'll probably be obscure. What I found out was he was the most famous man on earth at the turn of the century. Thomas was more famous than Frederick Douglass. So there were newspaper articles about him. They fought over him in court after slavery was over. Also, Mark Twain found out about Blind Tom, which was his stage name, and he was so fascinated by the prodigy that he followed the slave around the country and wrote articles on him. So he's very well documented. He also had more than 100 of his original works published. So he's a published composer. So it was really amazing, and it was so much research that it took me 2.5 years just to research all the news articles and books about him.
Wow. And now give us the name again.
Eighth Wonder, the Thomas Bethune story.
And if people want to find out more about this book.
If you want to know more about the book, you can purchase the book on Amazon. Amazon.com. You can purchase the ebook on Amazon. You can also go to my website, which is www.anitaMcal.com, and if you purchase from me directly, you can get an autographed copy. This book was nominated by the U.S. Librarians Association as a highlighted book for 2015-2016, so I'm really honored to have received that award from the U.S. Librarians.
I'm really honored that you took the time to meet with me. I really appreciate that you're on Public Interest Issue, and I am fascinated by your story and also the book.
Thank you so much. For me, I just feel a passion that some voices need to be heard, and Thomas's voice is one of those where he was so phenomenal. One of the reasons he fell into obscurity was when his master died, he stopped playing music. And so they were fighting over him in court so long, his legacy fell by the wayside because he would only touch the piano if he was in his room or in the apartment where he was staying, and he would play there so everyone could hear in the neighborhood, but he wouldn't get on a stage.
Wow, this is a remarkable story. And thank you, Anita, for being on my show. Now we're going to walk around with you, and we're going to hear more of your stories.
Okay.
So stay tuned, because we're going to hear more from this wonderful, wonderful writer, Anita. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Anita Cal, here on Public Interest Issues. And again, what a remarkable story. Thank you for being on my show.